All right, guys, I think I'm live. So, welcome in to College Sportscast. I am Brad, and I have John Hammonds with me tonight for our Big Fuss show on Tuesday nights. Welcome to our Big Fuss show.
Can I please have your attention?
There's all a commotion around here.
What are you talking about?
Let them yap at you.
It's actually very exciting.
I don't know. I can't tell nothing on this thing. It's acting crazy once again. So, I apologize, but we are here to do our Big Fuss show. And like I said, I got Hammonds on with me. What's up, Hammonds?
What's up, man?
So great weekend of games last weekend that we got to see, and I haven't talked to you since all those games, but it was a great weekend of games. I'm sure you got to catch a whole lot of them.
I did. I watched quite a few.
Yeah. Well, all right. We are College Sportscast. We're presented by the Fanboys. We're featured on YouTube channels for Let's Talk Sports, Sideline Sports, the Real Fresh channel. I need to mention State.
You're on mute.
For me.
Do what?
It just played my little video, so it mutes me when it
okay.
plays.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the reason why. I don't know if you guys seen it or not, but I saw the little video
Yeah.
for the Big Fuss. All right. You can find us on your Apple Fire TV or Roku by searching up SportsCast app and downloading that, and then searching for World Sports Broadcast Network, and find us on Channel 30. All right. Going to kind of dig into a few things here, some news and hot topics and some things like that this week that is going on in the college football world. The first thing really that I kind of want to dig into and talk about is Notre Dame. On Saturday, this past Saturday, they played Ohio State, and it was kind of a walk-off. Ohio State pulled out a touchdown at the last second and scored as time expired and beat Notre Dame 17-14. But this week, there's been a couple of things come out. So on the last two plays, John, Notre Dame only had 10 players on defense on the field. Yeah. Not one play. The last two plays of the game where the game was on the line, Notre Dame only had 10 guys on the field and no flag.
I just wonder. I just wonder, though, had Notre Dame won that game, would they even notice that?
But there was no flags, not one play, but twice. No flags, no nothing. And, apparently the play ran so fast in between that they didn't have time to sub or put somebody in. So they just left it alone. on that last play, and literally 2 plays, they had 10 guys on the field on defense against 11, and Ohio State scores and beats them.
They don't call it touchdown Jesus for nothing.
I mean, I mean, how do you wrap your head around that? First of all, how do you get stuck with only 10 guys on the field for 2 plays back to back? How does the refs not see that and throw a flag? Well,
to be fair, in the heat of a game like that, late in the game, there's so much going on. And a lot of times the refs they don't pay attention, or the coaches are trying to figure out how to get guys onto the field. It's a tough situation that late in the game. So it was probably just a mistake on Notre Dame's part. Didn't realize they didn't have that many or enough guys on the field. So they kind of went with what they.
Yeah, they got caught in the last play. They didn't realize it, I don't think, at the beginning, but they got caught on the last play because it was like a bang-bang play, and still, I don't know. It's just kind of weird. I heard the news. I even seen – I mean, it's real because I even seen Freeman at a press conference talking about it and saying that they're going to – it was his fault and that, he was going to try to get a signal fixed. And
then you had the little – Ryan Day calling out Lou Holtz at the end of the night, which I thought was kind of – I get what Lou Holtz was saying, but at the same time, how old is he? 86, something like that? He's an 86-year-old man. Like, come on now. Like,
yeah,
there's a way to handle things, and there's a way – like, I would have handled that in-house. Like, I would have said, talked to each other. It just felt like it was just a little like a rant on TV, like a little child would make. You know what I mean? Like it just didn't.
Yeah. I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to that because I just think it's 2 guys mouthing back and forth for no reason
and
whatsoever.
What got me
really.
was he said it's always Ohio versus everybody. Well, at the end of the day, Alabama has that. Clemson has that. It just ain't Ohio State. Like he made it sound like Ohio State was the perpetrators of everything that goes on. Like I don't know.
Yeah. But if you're Marcus Freeman, you got to get this fixed. You can't have 10 guys on the field with the game on the line. And the refs who are reffing that game, I mean, come on, guys. 2 plays back to back.
I mean, you got to be paying more. You got to be paying more attention.
There's supposed to be somebody, a line judge, somebody that's counting the guys. Like that's, I mean, somebody's supposed to be there doing that. So this week already, College Football Playoff Committee has met on basically determining whether or not they're going to keep the automatic bid decisions at 6 with all the conference realignment stuff that's going on. And the decision that I have seen so far is that in 2024, they're going to leave it the same despite the Pac-12 really not having a conference next year. So the top 6 power conference teams will get an automatic bid. I don't know exactly what that means now that the Pac-12 is out. Does that mean so if the SEC has 3 of the top 6 teams, they all get an automatic bid?
I'm guessing that's what it means. I always thought, the top 12 best teams got into the.
So the top
playoffs.
6 are going to get, and then there's going to be 6 at-large teams, according to what I read today after the committee, and they're going to keep it that way.
I'm not so big on that because I think the top 12 best teams should get in. I'm not sold on the whole at-large thing because there's some teams that are in there that could be in there and that we've seen in the past, that they get to a playoff game and they don't even, they're not even on the same level as these other teams. And
well, so one of them's going to be the top group of 5 team. So the group of 5, they could be out of the top 25.
I don't know.
But they're going to get in. So I don't know. I just thought I'd bring it up. I seen the College Football Playoff Committee saying that they're going to keep it the same for 2024 and make a decision after 2024 for the future, basically, is what they said.
I think that's the right decision, to be honest.
Yeah. And kind of see what else goes on with all this realignment and all this, and that kind of stuff. So
it's a mess, to be honest.
Yeah. So we had that going on the last day or two. I don't know. I'm sure you probably heard this one. So Travis Hunter
I've heard
is trying to lobby. It was through messaging. It was in a team meeting, and Dion was on there, and basically telling him, no, I'm not going to let you. But Travis Hunter's trying to lobby Dion to play against USC on Saturday after their, big loss to Oregon.
I'll tell you why that Travis Hunter don't need to play. He had the lacerated liver, and that's a tough injury to come back from. And you don't want to put your body back out there and to add more insult to injury with that liver. Like, you want to wait till it at least gets healed enough to where you can move and make cuts, because you get out there.
I'm pretty sure last week they said 3 weeks, didn't they?
Yeah. And when you get out there and you try to force yourself to play, you're asking yourself for trouble. And I think Dion is doing the right thing here by telling him to get healthy and get himself right before he comes back to play.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I just thought it's a story that we should probably bring up, that Travis Hunter is trying to lobby basically to play. He told Dion, or he didn't tell Dion, he told in a Twitter tweet that he wasn't going to take no for an answer, which I thought was kind of funny, because Dion's going to do what Dion's going to do. He already told him no.
He does that anyway. So
yeah, I just thought it was kind of funny because he said, I'm not going to take no for an answer, but I'm betting Travis Hunter don't play on Saturday against USC.
Most likely not.
That's my bet. All right. And another one that happened today, and I'm bringing this up for another reason as well. So Texas Tech hasn't looked good at all. They've lost 3 games already. But their quarterback, Tyler Show, broke his left tibia. I don't know what tibia.
You put on their tribulation.
Yeah, it changed it to that. I didn't put that. I promise.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Oh my goodness.
It's supposed to say tibia.
Oh my goodness.
That is an awkward autocorrect, is what that is. That's exactly what that is.
Oh, I know.
I promise I didn't put tribulation on there.
Oh, goodness gracious. I just have to give you a hard way to go sometimes, man.
Anyways, he is supposed to be out 6 or 8 weeks, which would basically be the entire full, rest of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess part of what this story is, this is the 3rd year in a row. This is the 3rd year in a row that he's been knocked out and hurt during the season.
I tell you, and Houston is not a really good football team. But I'll say this, the quarterback that played last week, was it for Texas Tech? He didn't impress me very well. And Texas Tech is probably, or not Texas Tech, but Houston is probably catching a break with this. And this is one of those games that could be one of those games where Texas Tech loses. And I know Houston's not a real good football team, but losing your star quarterback is a tough break.
Yeah, I mean he had surgery on a broken left tibia. He is, like I said, he's going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks. That's basically going to be the rest of the regular season. You know, I guess there's a chance that he could come back and play in a bowl game if they make a bowl game. I mean, they're 1-3 right now.
Just a tough break for him right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
And they haven't really been setting
100%.
the world, and they really haven't been setting the world on fire either. So
no, they've actually looked pretty bad, actually. Texas Tech has. So what's funny, honestly, about that is right before the season started, don't you remember the Big 12 commissioner going there and telling them they better beat Texas at home, basically, at the end of the season?
Yep, I remember.
And then all of a sudden now they look terrible. I mean, just terrible. You know,
yeah,
it's kind of like just a bad omen, you know, for them.
Just a tough stretch for the Red Raiders right now.
All right, guys, I'm gonna try to run this, so we're gonna do the pick six. See, and I can never tell if it's actually running or not. Did it run? I can't tell.
Yeah,
I
it's
never
running.
tell.
It ran. Yeah, it ran.
Okay. All right. Pick six, guys. I'm going to try to get it up on the screen if I can. Is it up?
Yeah, it's up. It's up there.
See, mine's not showing anything, so I can't tell. All right. Pick six is where we take a couple of topics and decide who is the top six or best six or whatever. So the last couple of weeks we've done conferences. This time I want to look at all of college football, and I want to look at through 4 weeks what you think is the best resume Power Six.
That's tough. I think you gotta go Florida State 1. That's tough. I guess 2 would have to be Texas, wouldn't it? 3, I would put Utah because they beat Florida at home, and then they went on the road. They was at home against UCLA. That would be the 4th. There's not a lot of really good the best resume to me, top 25, would be Fresno State if we was looking at top 25. But there's not really been a lot of teams that have had big-time resume wins. I mean, Ohio State had the Notre Dame game, but you wouldn't put them in front of FSU because FSU's got wins over LSU and Clemson. Granted, Clemson was not ranked at the time, but it still was a big win on the road. Maybe Missouri. I don't know. Missouri, would Missouri be in there?
Missouri, I think, has the best non-conference win in the SEC.
Kansas State.
Yeah.
That's hard. That's hard to tell right now. Like, let me just give you my top three.
I thought maybe through 4 weeks. I mean, we're a third of the way through the regular season. It would be a pretty good topic. I mean, you got Florida State.
I mean, well,
you got Florida State that's in there that I think has the best resume so far. Florida State does.
Yeah, Florida State's got the best of anybody. I guess you would go. Then you go Texas, and you go Ohio State.
I agree with you about Utah. Utah's beat
Utah because they beat Florida, and then they beat UCLA.
Washington State had a really, beat Oregon State. Had a really good win over the weekend as well. So just to give you an idea of some of the teams that I think, that
in Michigan, and Georgia, Michigan, and a few others haven't really played anybody yet.
Right. I'm talking about best resume edition, and they haven't played teams that, is up there right now.
This weekend, Georgia gets Auburn, I think, on the road. So, I mean, that's the first real test that Georgia's really had,
right,
to this date. So
yeah, and Michigan's roughest test was last week against Rutgers.
Yeah, and they didn't really impress, to be honest, either. But they got the job done.
Yeah, I mean, so that's I just kind of wanted to run through, as far as resumes and stuff. I mean. Duke had the big win against Clemson as well.
They got an opportunity this weekend to do another.
They get Notre Dame. Yeah, they get Notre Dame. Yeah. So, as far as resume wise, if they could beat Notre Dame this weekend, that would be two excellent wins for them. So just to kind of give you an idea of some of the teams that I was looking at and thinking about, just to give you an idea. My next one's going to be the Heisman race, man.
I know you was going with this.
Yeah, the Heisman race, top 6.
I'll
give you mine real quick, and then you can give you my 6. I've got Michael Penix Jr. as my top one. I know most people are going to have Caleb Williams there. I actually think that Michael Penix Jr. has showcased a little bit more. I think he's been the better one so far. I would put Caleb number 2. After that, I'm not really sure that I'm going to put an order on these, but I think Quinn Ewers is on that list. I think Sam Hartman has been on the list. So that's 4. I know I'm going to put a surprise on that most people's probably not going to put. So I'm putting Cameron Ward on that list. Most people probably don't recognize that name, but Cameron Ward has been lighting it up. Had accounted for over 400 yards and over 5 touchdowns on Saturday in a win over Oregon State. And he has just been lighting it up. I'm putting him actually above Bo Nix. If you look at the numbers, you can clearly see why. Cameron Ward has been outdoing him every time, just about. So I'm putting Cameron Ward on my list. And then who am I forgetting, John?
You're forgetting Bo Nix. You want me to go ahead and give you mine?
Yeah.
All right. Mine, I'm going to stay with Caleb Williams. I think he's generational. I think he's the best quarterback in college football, bar none. Until somebody knocks him off, he's the best quarterback.
Michael Penix Jr.
Second is Michael Penix Jr. Washington, what he's done at Washington is absolutely insane. the numbers that he is putting up is absolutely. Last week I really thought California. I'm not saying I thought California would win. I thought California would give him a good game, but
They put up 31 points in the first quarter.
I'm telling you, somebody that has a really good defense. Let me say this. I made a comment
Penix
last
not
week.
even playing in the fourth quarter in any of these games. Like they are blowing the doors off of people.
I made a comment last week and got kind of jumped on it, but I said, Washington is a threat to win the college football playoff. They're that good.
I think they're a threat to make it for sure.
Yeah. They got the wide receivers, got the quarterback, but the biggest thing is their defense. Their defense is what worries me in a tight game because their defense is not as good as their offense is.
Well, I mean, they gave up 32 points to California over the weekend. But here's the deal. They played basically the whole fourth quarter with their third string.
It's insane.
Not crazy. Second string.
Third.
They put the second string in the third quarter.
That's pretty wild. My number 3 would be Quinn Ewers from Texas. I think what Quinn Ewers has done all year has been pretty impressive. I'm going to go Bo Nix. What is that, 4?
Yeah.
5th, I think I'm going to go Jaden Daniels from LSU. I think he's, he had that game against Mississippi State, and then, that game he had last week, he really impressed me in the last 2 weeks. He's really turned it up a notch. And I'm going to go underdog here, and everybody's going to say, well, why did you pick this guy? But because he's had such a good year this year, a bounce-back year, I'm going to go with this guy, and it's Tyler Van Dyke from Miami. He's had a really good bounce-back year.
Definitely an underdog right there.
And I'm going to be honest with you, man. This Miami team is really, really good. And everybody said, well, is Miami
picking him over Jordan Travis? Jordan Travis has got – that's my other one. I had 5. My other one's going to be Jordan Travis.
There's so many in there you could pick 10 or 12.
I'm picking Jordan Travis over Bo.
I'm not saying he's better than Jordan Travis. I'm saying from a bounce back status guy, I'm giving my underdog pick to Tyler Van Dyke.
Well, I'm just trying to make a little bit of a fuss here since we're doing the big fuss. I'm saying Jordan Travis should have it.
Well, you can pick Jordan Travis. I don't care what you do. But that defense is not real good, and Jordan Travis is going to have to win a lot of shootouts this year. Florida State is lucky that they didn't lose Saturday.
This is true, but it was at Clemson, a place they haven't won since 2013.
And I felt like FSU didn't play really well either. I thought they played good, but I thought they didn't play their most complete game. It was just Clemson played pretty good as well, but it was an odd game. You know what I mean? Because you had Clemson, they weren't ranked. You had FSU, and then
it was back and forth. They were ranked in the coaches poll. They were still 23rd in the coaches poll,
and they
just not in the AP poll.
And then Florida State got dropped in the AP poll, which I thought was absolutely ridiculous.
We're going to get to that. I got that here in just a second.
I don't agree with that, but
yeah, we're going to get to that.
So.
All right, but my Heisman pick here, the one that I have in here that nobody else is going to, is Cameron Ward, Washington State QB. Check him out. Dude is fantastic.
Now, do it now.
Check him out, man. I'm serious.
Check him out. Because Brad Harvey said so.
We're going to go on to no-fly zone, and we're going to have a little bit of fun with this, with the no-fly zone. Hopefully I got it up on the bottom of the screen there on the no-fly zone.
It's up there.
And my first topic, by the way, FSU gets dropped in the AP poll. What?
Yeah, that was.
What the? I don't even understand. How is that possible? They
Well,
have they probably have the 2 best wins out of 4 games in the entire country. I don't understand. And on top of that, let me give you a little insider tidbit that I heard, okay?
mhm.
This was on Sirius XM radio in San Diego, okay? There was a sports writer who votes in the AP poll who voted and put Florida State number 22 in the poll.
You got to be kidding me, man.
No, I'm not kidding you. That's part of the reason why they got dropped, is because there are people like that. This is an AP voter. He's a sports writer out of San Diego that had Florida State number 22 in the AP poll after they beat Clemson at Clemson this
You know
week.
what I think? I'm just going to go ahead and say it and let everybody else say what they want to. But I don't think some of these writers watch football.
I mean,
That's how I feel about basketball. Some of these
that's
guys,
a clear violation of sports. I'm sorry, but I mean, you should
I
have
feel
your
like some
AP.
people
You should have
don't-
your whoever this writer is, and I didn't catch the guy's name or girl or whoever it is. I don't know if it's female, male. I didn't catch who it was. All I seen was a story that was on XM radio, and this sports writer, it was on the radio, said that he voted FSU number 22 this week. Now, or she voted, whichever it was. I'm here to tell you, you should have your AP poll rights revoked. I mean, seriously. Like, let me and John have that vote because I'm watching college football and I know what's going on.
Let me have a vote. Let me be in it because I don't. That's like basketball. A couple years back, there was a team that I can't remember who it was, but it was 18th or 17th, and somebody voted them at 25, and they was playing like a top 15, 20 team, and they had them at 25 or 26.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, does any of these guys watch
who holds
football?
Who holds them accountable is what I want to know.
Who? Because I think some of them just go off box scores and whatnot, and they don't watch a lick of football.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't know anything and you just looked at it and you don't know anything about Clemson, you don't know how tough it is, you don't know how long it's been since Florida State won there, and you looked at it and you said, okay, Clemson's unranked, and they beat Clemson in overtime. If you looked at it that way and you didn't know anything, maybe you dropped them. You don't drop them to 22 from 4, okay? But, I mean, my thing is, who holds them accountable? Seriously. They should have it revoked.
Well, I like what Norvell said. He was talking about it, and he said, I tell our players it's about us. For us, we didn't. This is from the Palm Beach Post. We didn't play our best game. I'm joyful that we won that game, and it's big for our program. But we didn't play a complete game for how I believe we can play. See, that's when I add more chip on the shoulder for Florida State to keep doing what they're doing. And I think this right here will add even more fuel to the fire to get them to play better. I just think at the end of the day, I'm just going to say it. I've said it. Some people just do not watch football on a regular basis or basketball.
and have votes.
And they have votes as an AP voter.
Right. Which should not happen. I mean, it just shouldn't.
No.
All right. So my next topic in the no-fly zone, absolutely no-fly that FSU should drop in the poll, and I'm 1,000% no-fly that this dude should have voted FSU 22nd and then San Diego sports writer. I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous. Neil Brown, is he off the hot seat now?
Yeah.
At least through the rest of this season?
I'm gonna give you one even bigger than that. He's got, I think he's got, is it a home game this weekend?
I'm not sure. They were home against, they had a home game against Texas Tech, and I'm not sure who they play this week. I'd have to look.
I can't remember. No, it's on the road. But TCU is only favored, I think, by 4.5 points, I think.
Yeah, I think it opened around 5.5 or 6, so it's betting down.
Here's a big thing. I think regardless of what happens this weekend, I think he's safe. But what gets lost in all of this jambalaya, like the old Hank Williams song says, is the fact that if West Virginia wins this weekend, they're going to be 4-1.
They're sitting 3-1, guys, and have not had an easy schedule.
Mm-mm.
I mean, they've been playing Power 5 teams.
And TCU, for me, is a winnable game.
Go look at their schedule. They played Pitt. They've played Texas Tech. They played another one, too. There was a Power 5 team in there.
Well,
I can't remember who.
And let's be fair. They handled Pitt pretty easily.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know,
I feel
so
like this might be a better
everybody for a year and a half has been talking about Neil Brown needs fired. Neil Brown needs fired. And if you remember when I done the show on the Big 12, I said personally that Neil Brown was only 3 games under 500. All right.
Mm-hmm.
At West Virginia. It's not like he was absolutely horrendous and terrible, and people act like that he should have been fired a long time ago. I'm here to tell you he should definitely be safe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying he is completely safe. I'm not saying that, you know, let's find out what happens the rest of this season.
No, you got to take care of business.
Yeah, I'm not saying that, but I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I thought in these first 4 or 5 games that there was a chance that Neil Brown could be in trouble and get fired.
And like I said, a win Saturday in Fort Worth, they're 4-1 in High Cotton.
Yep.
And 2 wins away from going to a bowl.
Well, they're 3-1 today. They got 8 games left. And I was looking at their schedule. I mean, it's reasonable that they could go, even if they, you know, lose some games, it's reasonable they could go 7-5 and make a bowl game now that they're 3-1. You know, will that save Neil Brown's job? I'm not 100% sure, but
this is a no-fly. That would be a no-fly, right?
Well, I mean, if you're saying he's off the hot seat, then you're going to say fly.
Yeah, it's a fly then. I don't think he's on the hot seat. I think even if he loses Saturday,
he was when the season started, but I don't think he is now.
I still think he'll have a job.
Yeah. Yeah, I do too. I think he has won enough here at the beginning of the season against Power 5 teams, a lot of them, that he has earned the right to finish this season and see how things go.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
So that's where I'm at. I'm going to fly on that. I was really the last 2 weeks, you know, I was like, you know, if he loses backyard brawl at home and then Texas Tech spanks him at home, there's a chance that maybe he doesn't make it. But now that they've won 2 big games, I think he's setting pretty good compared to where he was at the beginning of the season. I think so anyway. All right. Dabo and Clemson. Let's get to Dabo and Clemson. John, seriously, I got a serious question for you. Everybody has been talking about Saban and Alabama and talking about is their run over? Is their dominant run over? Everybody's been talking about Saban and Alabama. Okay?
Yeah.
Let's take a real look at Dabo and Clemson. Is it downhill from here?
I think that
are they worse off than everybody wants to talk about Saban and Alabama. I'm pretty sure Dabo and Clemson are a little worse.
I think there's a possibility because you got to look at it now. The transfer portal has changed the way rosters, to me, are constructed. You look at what Deion Sanders did. He stripped a whole roster that went 1-11 in 2022. And, they went down to TCU in week 1 and won. And, I think Dabo
beat Nebraska.
Yeah, beat Nebraska. I think he only had one guy from the transfer portal last year. I think it was
Dabo. Yeah.
It was Paul Tyson, the former Arizona State quarterback. And I think a lot of this year, though, I got to give a little bit of not really, I wouldn't say credit. Listen, Clemson lost 12 players to the portal. I think Sweeney is the type he likes to get production out of prospects right away. But see what's not being told here is that other staffs are adding to those prospects through the transfer portal. And Sweeney has not been able to do that. Or he's not done that because either he's too stubborn or he don't want to do it, or he's old school and just doesn't want to mingle with the new age of
everybody kind of talked about Saban and him kind of being old school and stuck in his ways and stuff like that too, and there's been a whole lot of talk. There's been a whole lot of talk on SEC Network and ESPN and a lot of the talking heads, and you don't really hear a whole lot nationally. Regionally you do, but you don't really hear a whole lot nationally about Dabo and Clemson. And I'm going to give you a stat, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So far this year, Clemson is 2-2, okay? Their record's 2-2. They're 0-2 in the ACC. They've lost to Duke and Florida State the first 2 games.
Unheard of around here.
If you go back to last season, okay, the last 6 games, including the bowl game that Clemson played, they were 3-3. And now they're 2-2. That means they are 5-5 in their last 10 games. Look it up because I did. That's pretty telling, y'all. My guess is the last time that happened is 2010. Because that was the last losing season that Dabo had.
Well, and I tell you, the way the landscape of college basketball is moving, and
football.
You had this, football.
You said basketball.
Oh, I'm sorry. Football. Excuse me. The way the landscape of college football is moving and the way it's changing every single year in the realignments and all this stuff, it's a question to ask whether Sweeney can figure it out and get back to where he needs to be. because this is not Clemson, Trevor Lawrence. This ain't Clemson, T.
Watson.
Higgins, Watson. Yeah. This is a different era. And if I'm a Clemson fan, I'm concerned going forward and just being frank.
Well, so the reality is after Saturday's game and losing at home to Florida State, the likelihood that they make it back to the ACC championship game
very unlikely.
Is pretty unlikely. I mean, it could happen. They're not completely out of it.
I'm guessing FSU would have to fold. A lot would have to go wrong.
So Duke and FSU both would have a 2-loss tiebreaker.
Yeah, that's where it gets tricky.
Against Clemson. So that means that Duke and LSU would have to lose 3 conference games.
You mean FSU, not LSU?
FSU. Yeah. Did I say LSU?
Yeah, you said LSU.
FSU. That means that Duke and FSU would have to lose 3 conference games because they can't be in front of them.
No.
And get to the championship game. So even if Clemson wins out, they're going to need some help from a couple of losses, 2 or 3 losses from Duke and FSU.
I just don't see it happening.
And that's even if they went out. And they play Syracuse this week, who they just barely beat last year, and Syracuse has been playing pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So
this will be – I think it's a fly.
I think it could be a fly as well.
I'm
not completely ready to say that, that the magic is gone. I'm not completely ready to say that the magic is completely gone. I'm not. But I do think they're in trouble this season.
Yeah, this season.
I think they're in trouble this season. Now, can Dabo get it back and he's got the quarterback and keep him and put some pieces around it and stuff next year? Sure, that can happen.
You know what I think's really hurting him this year? I think it's the lack of top level wide receivers. He doesn't have that.
Playmakers.
He doesn't have that.
Besides Shipley, they don't have playmakers.
No. They don't have that one guy that can go grab a ball and make a play.
I just don't. When you watch them play, I don't think they have playmakers, like elite playmakers.
It's not elite. No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about. Elite. That's what I mean. All right, the next one. We're finally going to talk about something that has to do with Kentucky. All right. We've been doing this show for 4.5, 5 weeks, and we ain't hit almost nothing that has to do with Kentucky, really. So, Pro Football Focus, PFF, is grading Kentucky's cornerbacks as the top 2 corners in the SEC so far.
Mm-hmm.
Are they the best corners in the SEC? Is Hairston and Andrew Phillips the best 2 corners in the SEC so far?
Well, Hairston had the 2 pick sixes against Vanderbilt, and Pro Football Focus grade, they do their thing every single year every single weekend after the games, and he ranked 4th highest among corners nationwide. And on the other side of things, Andrew Phillips ranked 87th best among corners nationwide. Phillips broke up a pass. I think he had a couple of incompletions. Recorded 5 tackles.
I mean, that's a pretty bold statement for PFF to come out and say that Kentucky's got the 2 top-graded corners in the SEC.
And
through
you got to
4
look
games.
on.
I'm not talking about just last game. I'm talking about
Well, you
4
got to
games.
look on the other side. They got Hardaway on the other side, which they got a young secondary, but this secondary is really, really good. And
But that was one of the biggest concerns coming into the season was corners.
And I heard somebody say today, said, "Well, they haven't played anybody." Well, let's look at that. Vanderbilt had who? Will Shepherd, Jaden McGowan, and London Humphreys.
They had 3 of the top 8 wide receivers in the SEC.
Before
last week.
And Kentucky literally shut down Will Shepherd.
Yeah. And then the Akron team that we played had a wide receiver from LSU, a transfer wide receiver from LSU, and another one from one of the top programs in Power Conference teams, too. There was 2 of them. And then the other 2 teams had good quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm. A.J. Swan.
That we played. Yeah.
You had the one kid from Eastern that was pretty good. He had a good arm on him.
Yeah. I mean, they had thrown a lot of yards in college football, the quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm. I think to this point, you got to look at them and think they're probably the best right now. But if you say that, you're always going to have somebody say, "Well, Alabama's got a couple, Georgia's got a couple."
Just saying, Pro Football Focus is making grades after each game, and through 4 weeks, Hairston and Phillips are the top 2 graded corners in the SEC. Listen, Hairston is the SEC Defensive Player of the Week. Today, he also picked up the National Defensive Player of the Week. By Football Writers of America, Association of America. He picked that up today. So you got to give him a whole lot of credit. He's got 3 picks in 4 games. 2 of them
he
took to the house.
Yeah. So
yeah,
that's
2
hard
of
to
them
do.
he took to the house.
And that's hard to do in college football.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna say this is a no-fly for right now because there's a lot of other good SEC guys out there. But if I had to pick them early on in the season, I think they're 2 of the best because what they did at Vanderbilt was pretty impressive. Vandy couldn't really get anything traction going. Their biggest test to me will be this Saturday when Florida comes to town. Florida, they're not the greatest passing team.
I mean, they got 1 guy on the outside to cover.
Ricky Pearsall.
They got 1 guy.
Ricky Pearsall is really good. I think you'll probably see Florida run the ball a lot more this week than they will pass the ball.
We got 2 really good backs, and that's going to.
But if you look at the other side of the equation, Kentucky's ranked, I think it's 12th in the country in rushing defense. So this will be a litmus test on how good Kentucky is and how good Florida is, especially their offense against our defense and defense vice versa.
Yeah, it will be for sure. Pearsall had an absolute stunning catch last week. I mean,
and I'll even go as far as saying this: there's a lot of good games on this weekend, but I'm going to reiterate what you said last week. For this game to be at noon is an absolute atrocity. This might be one of the bigger games of the week.
It is, and it always is. Let me hold up. It's been that way since 2014.
Yeah, it's been one of the.
It's been one of the best games. Florida, Kentucky has been one of the best games of the weekend since 2014. And you can look that up if you want to. But it clearly has been one of the best games. Now, so I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this is a no-fly, and I'm a Kentucky fan. Everybody knows that. But the reason why I'm going to say this is a no-fly is I'm going to wait on Phillips. I think Hairston has played well enough that he can claim he's the top cornerback in the SEC. I don't think anybody can really debate that. I think Hairston, with the pass breakups that he has had, the open field tackles that he has had, the tackles for loss, a couple of them that he's had, the 3 picks, the 2 pick sixes. I mean, I don't think there's another corner in the SEC that could even come close to those claims through 4 games. But I'm going to say no fly because I'm not sold that Phillips is the second best corner in the SEC. And that's the reason why I'm going to say that.
We got 4 minutes.
All right. Well, my last one is pretty we've kind of beat this one up a little bit, but
beat it into the ground, man.
I do want to bring it up one more time because there's been an awful lot of hype on Colorado so far this season.
I'm going to tell you.
And we saw what Oregon did, and they play USC this week, okay?
I'm going to tell you.
What do you think happens, and do you think is these 2 games going to completely derail Colorado's season?
I don't think it will. I still think they get to a bowl game, but they have a big target on their back. And I'll tell you why. Because did you see I don't know if you've seen the video of them running their mouth at Oregon pregame.
Yeah, a little bit.
It was on social media.
Yeah.
There's an issue. I mean, I get the trash talking. I get the other things. But to say that they're being attacked is far from the truth. Some of the times they're starting it.
Yeah. I mean, especially pregame. If you go back and look at the antics that they are doing pregame, go search at all the pregame antics of the Colorado State game. I mean,
here's my thing with this whole hype train thing. They're making it out to be that they're the Miami of the 90s. And
they're not on that level.
That's not
yet.
what I'm saying. They only won 1 game last year.
Yeah.
But the hoopla and all the hype, it's like Miami, Clinton Portis type stuff. And they don't have that until they do something of significance. They're not even in that same.
It's Miami .0000001.
That's what I'm talking about. Willis McGahee, Ken Dorsey, Santana Moff. Until they prove that they belong, they're still 1-11 last year. Until he gets some people.
And I'm pretty sure the year before that they went winless, didn't they? Didn't they go winless?
I can't remember. I just think there's too much hype on this, and it's being reveled in like it's the Miami of the 90s, Nebraska of the 90s. I get it. You got Dion as a coach, but there's the media has run this plumb into the ground, I think. And it's made everybody sick of it. You know what I mean?
I'm going to call this one. It depends on just what this game looks like, the USC game this week. But I am going to say that it's not going to completely derail the hype. I think there will still be some hype because it's Dion. And they will get a few more wins. Looking at their schedule, I think there is a good chance that they go to a bowl, which will be a huge, huge win for them to get to a bowl.
Then we'll have to hear it throughout Christmas about.
Well, so if they do, y'all can look. Y'all can go ahead. He will ramp up this roster again, and he will have them talented. That's for sure.
Mhm.
I mean, it will happen. So
Not neon prime time for nothing, you know.
yeah, I mean, he will absolutely. And I'm going to move on to the final buzzer. I usually have a topic here, but I kind of wanted to talk about the Kentucky and Florida game for a minute, and it being at noon. I was upset about it.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't think it's right, but it's still going to be a great game on Saturday, and I think
It's gonna be a great
everybody should.
atmosphere. You know,
It's still going to be a great atmosphere. I think everybody needs to tune in.
Stoops is hoping that they slam some beers down
Yeah.
on Saturday morning.
Yeah.
And yours
John's
truly
going to be there.
Yours truly will be there, sir.
Yeah. John's going to be there in Lexington at the game with his dad.
Yeah.
So on Saturday,
I just hope I come out of there with a win. I don't want to come out of there feeling like we just, didn't do the things necessary to and I want to be honest with you. To me, this is going to be a challenge. And Kentucky's not going to Florida's not just going to lay over and quit. They're going to play.
I'm going to end this. I'm going to end this with this thought. Okay. Rivals began their gradings and their ratings, recruiting ranking era in like 2002, I think.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first time ever in the Rivals ranking era that Kentucky has more 4- and 5-star starters than Florida. Kentucky has 13 4- or 5-star starters.
And Florida
has 8.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to leave you with that thought.
But we'll talk about this game a lot more Thursday when we do the pick'em show.
I'm going to leave you with that thought because that is a super, super telling stat, if you ask me. Now, so our next show is going to be, and I can never change all this, right?
It's on there.
It's Thursday, not Tuesday.
Oh, it says Tuesday,
yeah. But it's September the 28th is right, and 8 o'clock is right. But I didn't change the Tuesday. It should say Thursday. Mm-hmm. Our game day pick'em week 5 will be Thursday night, September the 28th at 8 o'clock.
I just got to say something real quick. How fast is this season going by?
Pretty quick, actually.
It goes quick.
This is the last weekend in September already, and we're going to be at October on Sunday.
Yours truly's birthday is next Sunday, so
mine
birthday boy.
My birthday is next Sunday. Yep.
Yours is.
My birthday is next Sunday.
What day is your birthday?
Or this Sunday, not next.
It's this Sunday.
This Sunday.
Because mine's October the 8th, and yours is the
1st.
The 1st, yeah.
Mine is this coming Sunday.
Two birthday boys.
Yeah. So I appreciate you guys being on with us.
And I'll say this about this week's lineup. There's not a lot of great games, but there's a lot of depth. You know what I'm saying? Like there's Texas A&M, Arkansas, there's South Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, Florida, Kansas, and Texas playing each other for the first time.
Hey, that South Carolina, Tennessee game, as far as a Kentucky and Florida fan, that's going to be a pretty big game.
Yeah, and you got Texas and Kansas playing each other for the first time. They'll be playing each other ranked for the first time. I think that's the ABC 3:30 game.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of great games, but like I said, there's a lot of depth of the games. Like, you're going to have
USC,
Arkansas,
Colorado out west. A lot of people will be paying attention to that one.
Arkansas, Texas A&M will be another good one. That's a big rivalry game every year. Then you got the Ole Miss LSU where those two teams hate each other.
Yeah.
I think that the that's a night game, I believe, ain't it?
Ole Miss is coming off of the Alabama loss.
Yeah. Then you got Alabama, Mississippi State playing the nightcap. Georgia going to Auburn, which this probably be Georgia's first big test they've had. So there's a key sneaky game Friday if you really want to get it's Utah, I think, and Oregon State.
Yep, Utah and Oregon State is on Friday. Yep.
And Cincinnati plays BYU Friday. So there's two excellent games to watch Friday. So if you don't like high school football, you can always turn on and watch college football on Friday nights.
I don't think Utah gets the love they deserve, man. They got a great defense out there.
They're pretty good. And Brad and yours truly, Glasgow, how they doing this year? Tell us about them.
They're doing pretty good so far.
Having a good year this year?
Yeah, they are. They got some guys. They got a guy that's going to walk on at Kentucky, a receiver.
I think I'm going to say this for Anthony Wireman, and we'll get off tonight. There's nobody beating Boyle County. I don't think.
I'm going to tell you that Corbin defense is pretty scary. I don't know. We'll see. But
they're pretty tight. They're pretty good. But I would say to Anthony Wireman that, Wireman, you get on me all the time about every single little thing I post about Corbin. Well, you know what? I'm going to be good, and I'm going to give Boyle County some credit. They got a really good team.
They do have a great team, and you're probably right. There's probably not going to be anybody else that can touch them.
But Corbin,
the only chance I think that anybody has is a absolute just killer defense, and I think Corbin could.
With the Smith brothers, they got.
I'm not saying they will. I'm saying it could be that kind of game.
And I'm going to tell you this, and he's a local kid, and I want to give him a little love. His grandma lives probably 5-10 minutes away from me. Kate Elam, his grandma's Carolyn Elam. Bart Elam's son. He's a really good quarterback at Corbin, and he's got a scholarship actually to play baseball at the University of Louisville. So a little tidbit there. He's a really good athlete, that kid is.
Right.
So a lot of props to Kate Elam.
All right, guys.
We talked about high school football. We don't never do that.
We will see you guys on Thursday night, September the 28th at 8:00 for our game day pick'em. We will pick about 10 or 12 of the best games of the week. We'll try to do an upset pick, and we'll see if we can get one this week.
I almost have one this weekend.
I almost had one too. I had Notre Dame, and Notre Dame literally lost it on the
Pitt.
So
Pitt was giving me hope in the first half.
I literally almost had one the last play of the game. And we'll do a locks of the week, and we'll have a little bit of fun. So we'll see you guys on Thursday night.
Have a good one.